I was so exhausted that I did not even notice that Miss Capel Kelly and Miss Kelly were mother and daughter. I should have been tipped off when Miss Capel Kelly said, "Good job, honey," when she came out of the interview, but I just didn't catch up. After we hired the Kellys on the first day of school, the worst thing that happened to me, the math teacher did not show up. I nailed the interview. I walked into that basement of the Capitol Hill office confident. I walked out clear that I had the job. I remember calling my wife, this exuding the confidence because I was going to be a middle school principal. Now, the thing is, I interviewed very well. So confidence is something that I know, but I also had 9 months of training to be a principal. So I was really prepared. I remember things started to make a little bit more sense when I did my first tour of the school 2 weeks later. See, in the interview process, I never actually saw the school or the children or the teachers. So when I walked in the building with the chief academic officer, the CAO, the building was beautiful. It felt right. But there were some things that started to be off. The gym is immaculate. I've never seen a gym this beautiful. But when we were doing the tour, I remember looking to the left into the gym and looking to the right at the CAO and looking to the left at the gym because there were 200 desks in the gym. And in the desks were 200 children. And it looked like they were doing some sort of an assignment. Now, I had to ask the CAO, like, what's going on? And you can see the embarrassment on his face because the students were taking a makeup statewide test. He said, well, the former principal approved the field trip to the zoo on the day of the reading test. Now, my edu friends know that is terrible. The rest of you are like, seems like a good idea. Things in that tour got worse and worse. He talked about how I needed to hire 20 teachers, 2 assistant principals, which a former principal of mine called ASPs, and a business manager over the course of a month and a half. I'm still a school leader now, and we need to hire, we think, 5 people over the next 7 months. So hiring that number of people in a month and a half is not good. Now, I know how to interview. I'm a really good interviewer. You ask about school climate, that's essentially like, can you not be a jerk in the building? You ask about like instructional, like, can you teach kids? And you ask about classroom management, like, can you keep them in the seats? And I knew how to do that, and we did that very well, my ASPs and I, over the course of weeks and weeks and weeks. But when we got towards the end, we needed to pick up the pace. So the last 7, we really were asking, like, can you pass a background check? And can you start on the first day of school? The last 3 people I actually hired on the Saturday before the first day of school, Mr. Toomer, Miss Kelly, and Miss Capel Kelly. I was so exhausted that I did not even notice that Miss Capel Kelly and Miss Kelly were mother and daughter. I should have been tipped off when Miss Capel Kelly said, "Good job, honey," when she came out of the interview, but I just didn't catch up. After we hired the Kellys on the first day of school, the worst thing that happened to me, the math teacher did not show up. I didn't notice until 3rd period when the assistant principals came by and said, "Who teaches math in this class?" Things just got worse and worse and worse. The grand scheme of things, like, nothing was making sense. 15, 25 teachers or staff members were either late or just didn't show up on a daily basis. Our bookkeeping was a box of receipts. I know that because when I asked how much money did we spend, I was handed a box of receipts. There was fighting all of the time. The teachers hated one another. There was nothing that was going well. And I'm in the middle school, so I have all the things of children who are not quite adults, and they're still children, and they smell all at once. And I remember this day, and I still remember this day distinctly, where just beating and bumping in the wall in the hallway. And noise is all kind of normal in the middle school, but this day it was just incredibly loud. And so I got up out of my desk and went out into the hallway, and I saw a sea of about 100 children just all there. Now, the type of school that my CAO said that I was, it was like a turnaround. So turnarounds, for those of you who don't remember, are kind of like Lean on Me with Morgan Freeman, the Batman situation, all that. I was 20 pounds lighter. I still had this high voice. There was nothing fierce about me. And in this situation of 100 students out, 7 teachers, there actually were 8 teachers because one locked themselves in the bathroom, my 2 ASPs, like it was just complete chaos. And I remember looking at the ASPs, and they looked at me. And I remember looking at Mama Kelly, and Mama Kelly looked at me the way that only a mama could look at. You're the principal. And so I did what I knew how to do. Everybody sit down. And slowly but surely, the children would look at me, and I would look at them, and they sat down. But that was my plan. So I did what I've seen other people do in these situations. I talked about how much I loved and how much we expected the best out of them, and how much I loved them and how much we expected the best out of them. And I think I said it about 20 times. And then I needed to move the children. So math students, you need to go into this class. Your teacher's ready to receive you. I needed social studies teachers to go in this class, receive your students. The science students, can you go into your class? I'm gonna have the dean go in there because your teacher's still locked in the bathroom. Thank you. And I walked back to my office and just sighed. And I sighed not because like, I did that, but after loss after loss after loss, this wasn't a win, but it was the moment that I realized that maybe I can pull this off. Because principals have given me that opportunity when I was a child. They believed in me and they made space to make sure that I had the education that was right. And so I committed on that day. I didn't have a plan, but I was gonna figure it out. And 20 plus years later, I'm still doing it. Thank you.
Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them